probably the best thing I did with my kids and continue to do. I just got back from California last night, actually. I spent a ton of time putting baseball and sports aside when it made sense, and learning things together like camping, especially surfing,
Nice.
like fly fishing, and just traveling around and living in a camper and things like that, because it really bonded us. And then the times when we're grinding through batting practice and stuff like that, we're just able to separate the two things. So my kids and I really enjoy hanging out. I mean, I'm lucky to have kids in college that really actually like me and like to hang out with me. We play some golf and all that kind of stuff. But like, I think it's just doing things together beyond the sports has been a good thing for me and my kids.
What is mentality to you? What's a good mentality?
It's everything for me. I mean, it's literally the fork in the road that you can't miss. And the way I see it and the way I teach it and the way I explain it, and it's become super sticky for players, is that you're either the predator or you're the prey. And if you don't know which one you are, good luck. All right. So every at bat, there's an invisible battle going on. There's an invisible battle of your conviction versus mine, your preparation versus mine, your confidence versus mine. And if you're not, actively trying to hunt, then you're being hunted. So I see it as you're either the tiger or you're the rabbit. And it doesn't mean like, oh, I'm going to be a tiger every time, but you do need to be able to self-evaluate and know that when you're being a rabbit. And we've all been there. I'm sure you have. I was there more times than I'd like to admit, where you're just trying to survive. You're just trying to not strike out. You're just trying not to chase the slider in the dirt. You're just trying to not look stupid. You're trying to protect yourself and not be embarrassed. Yep. And that frame of mind will never, ever, 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 ever lead to success.
The best teams and win the last game of that tournament. And that went back to practicing, full speed as often as possible, and understanding that you have to overcome adversity in the middle of a baseball game. It's going to happen. Coach Ward at Oklahoma State we'd be down 10 and he'd yell in the dugout, "It's about even now." I mean, that mindset. I mean, we're down 10 in a baseball game and your head coach is saying, "Nah, it's about even now. Let's go." You feel that and you understand that. And comebacks and things that happen in regionals in Stillwater when we came back from huge deficits in a regional to go to Omaha, going to Arizona State when they were number one in the country and beating them twice out there was amazing. But that's the head coach's philosophy and mindset was to get us set to win the last.
Coach's perspective, to be mature enough to let the guy to let him fail and let him kind of figure it out on his own.
Well, this game is really hard. This is a tough game. So like when I'm talking to a player and I'm giving them information, is if they're saying, "Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir," after each sentence I say, they can't hear me.
Wow.
So I want our players to listen. If I'm giving information, I want them to listen to the words I'm telling them. And, it's not going to be a lot. It's going to be very simple. I like to think of myself as simple when it comes to baseball, because simple wins and simple creates good players. But when a player is answering me quickly, that's a sign to me that he's not mature enough yet, because he needs to listen to the words, let them soak in, and then take it, whatever he can use to his advantage, or delete it.
Anybody can make Clayton Kershaw look good.
That's right.
If you want to prove you're a great instructor to me, take the 9-hole hitter on the worst rec team in your city and make him the 7-hole hitter.
Wow.
And if you do that, what you've done is you've prolonged his baseball career, and that's our job. And let's don't get into, hey, I got a 12-year-old that's going to be a big leaguer. You don't know if he's going to be a big leaguer yet. Let's just try to get him to if a double-A player, 12-year-old wants to play triple-A, let's get him to triple-A. If a freshman wants to make the JV, let's get him on the JV. If a sophomore wants to be on the varsity, let's help him get there. If a varsity player wants to play college ball, we'll help him get to there too. But let's don't jump from 12 to college baseball or the draft, right?
Much
and
of your evaluation goes into what's between the ears.
Oh, it's for me personally, and this might not be the same for all scouts, but for me personally, it's the separator. It really is the separator. And I pride myself on finding kids and putting them, again, I was with Baltimore for over 10 years now with New York, but putting kids in the Baltimore system that had the utmost excellence in makeup like that. I because at the end of the day, the game is so difficult at that level that if you don't have the ability to trudge through those down times, the tools are never going to translate, right? You have to have the makeup in order to blossom as that player. And I think that's the same it all starts at 9, 10, 11 years old, right?
I think just the people I surround myself with.
Ooh.
And that's might not be my part. It's just the grace of God that I've been surrounded by these amazing teammates and really amazing coaches and people like yourself that have helped me get to where I am here. And then, I mean, I'm just using my God-given abilities to go out and perform the best I can. And I mean, it's worked out so far, but I think it's not anything I can do other than I can work my hardest and try to strive to be the best I can. But I think it's the people that surround me. It's my teammates. It's the support staff. It's the coaches. It's the people that got me here.
We're just in a sweet spot right now in our program. And, we're just because we're kind of preparing for this event, you start looking at some of the things you've accomplished, and it makes you feel really proud of all of those accomplishments. And, a little quick stat for you, we did the math on number of games won since 2018 to this past year. And there's only 2 teams in the country that have won more games than us. Tennessee, which, you know what they've done recently. They're the number 1 team, and Angelo State down in your neck of the woods.
Dang.
Been really good. And then we're right there. We're like 2 wins, one or two wins behind Angelo. And I think 4 wins behind Tennessee, since 2018 in that stretch. And it's just crazy to think about, you don't know that. And then you start looking like, gosh, I wonder where we stack up nationally. It's like, wow, I guess we are there. So that's been fun. It really has.
Dude, it's amazing to hear that. I mean, holy cow, Augustana baseball. Like I told you, national power.
We're going to give a 1-minute speech on everybody all the coaches out there that are grinding, wanting to do the program the right way. And you were going to give a 1-minute speech on fundraising. Your 1-minute speech would be.
Talk to everybody. It doesn't necessarily need to be. People are either benevolent or not. Know this thing. Most of the money in the world is owned and operated and controlled by people over 55. Women are much more empathetic and give more and have more to do with gifts and endowments than do men. Men are busy, competitive, don't want to give anything away. The wife will tell them, I like these people, I like these people, I like these people. We want to gift something to Oklahoma State baseball. So it's built, the power of women regarding their empathy for things like this, they're the people that make the decisions when the guy goes home.
Find an answer so deep that it'll make you cry.
Wow.
So therefore, whenever someone does say you're not good enough, cool. I cry about this, so I'm gonna work harder.
Wow.
Right. So I mean, before college, I think my why was to get a scholarship. So therefore, my parents wouldn't pay my full tuition. I did it, and I made my mom cry.
Awesome.
And now my why is just way different. It's just making impact so heavy that someone, I mean, not that I want to thank you, but someone later on down the road, 10, 20, 30 years later will shake my hand and be like, dude, you said something in that podcast, that Ford podcast, that 10, 20 years later that I didn't know would impact. That's my why is I found my
I want to know, what you recommend for players that are wanting to be recruited by you guys. Like, how do they get your attention?
Play hard, be fun to watch. Those are the 2 things I preach a lot about. Guys with that high motor, the guys that you can tell are there because they want to be there, not just because they signed up to play and their parents dropped them off. The guys, example, like seeing something like a guy playing third base, ball hit down the line, it's foul. Does he just take a slow step to it because he knows it's foul? Does he go play the ball and get the rep? it's little things like that, hustling in and out the dugout, all the stuff that as a high school kid, when you're hearing coaches say about it, you're kind of like, oh my God, like whatever. Those little things are so important, and those are what makes you stand out.
The man that you play for or your son plays for is going to impact his life for the rest of his life. Wins and losses don't. Okay. Batting average doesn't. ERA doesn't. But the man that they play for does. And so I think we get so caught up on, being on the national team or the scout team or the A team or whatever today's term is for it. And we lose sight of, hey, playing for the guy that's going to help my son be a better man and going to help my son become a better baseball player. It falls down in the order in regards to priority because winning seems to take over. And that would be my advice is you do the research on the man. And you may not like some of the things that he does for your son or says to your son, but if he's holding him accountable and teaching him the game of baseball and teaching him how to live his life.
I tell my players that come into the cage, that's like, some days we're going to have feel-good days. If you need a feel-good day, you've been practicing this week. Yeah, you had a really rough weekend. You need a feel-good day where I'm just sitting here flipping balls to you and you just want to find the barrel. You need to let me know.
Oh, wow.
But there's also going to be days that we come in here and we're really working and we're grinding. It's going to be difficult. And you have to have that mental fortitude to understand this is work. Yes, it's baseball. Yes, we want the games to be fun. But if mom and dad are paying a mortgage for you to have a trainer and for you to go around and do everything, there has to be some kind of return on that investment. And that means work. And some players aren't cut out for that at an early age. I have a lot of times where I'll tell parents, I'm sorry, I'm not in the business of stealing your money, and your kid just isn't ready for this type of training.
The guys that are the best students are typically the best players. The guys that are the best players typically have the best work ethic. The guys with the best work ethic are typically getting the best jobs out of college. So I truly do believe the little things matter, and how you do those little things. Your life is essentially just a bunch of little things that add up to the big things in your life. So how you do one thing is truly how you do everything, in my opinion. So if you're not getting your homework in on time, typically the guys that are late on their homework, that don't do well in school, they're the guys that are late to practice. They're lazy at practice. They're unfocused. So we do truly preach, hey, how you're going to do the small things in life, the things that you really might not think matter in the moment, they truly do matter. And you'll look back at your college experience like, hey, like, I'm so glad that I did everything that it took to be a really good college athlete, from the academic side, social side, and obviously athletic side of things.
If I take time to prep in coaching my son's team, part of the preparation is listening to the people that have come before me. And I've just been fortunate enough to listen to the fact that you have Gary Ward and Schwanke on, and all the other names that you've had on here. I've taken so many little nuggets. You listen to I'd say probably 70% of these for entertainment purposes. But if you're truly listening, there's probably 20 or 30% retention that you could take away and apply to the real world. So what I've gotten out of it is an education. Even though I was around the game, for 18 years of my life, or however long we played, you played a little longer. I would say I've taken away an education and a renewed focus on the game of baseball.
The baseball's the best pitching coach in the world. It never lies. It never lies. If I'm missing up and in, what am I doing? I'm flying open, right? Like, the baseball does not lie. Listen to what the baseball's telling you and make an adjustment pitch by pitch. I want to develop pitchers that are their own coach. So I don't have to go out there and talk to them, or when I do talk to them, we got bases loaded with a 2-0 count, no outs, right? Because we've walked the world. Yep. It's like, I want you to be able to make adjustments. My pitching lesson, guys, I don't want to see you every week. I want you to be able to feel yourself. Like, we're going to go every week until a certain point, and you should be able to come to me bi-weekly, right? What we're doing is we don't teach the right stuff, and we make these kids so dependable on us that they don't feel anything. I want them to learn to feel their body.
You got to have extreme ownership. Like, you got to take credit. If your ship goes down, it's all on you. Don't blame nobody. Don't even look at nobody. It's all on you. If you're a leader, then you want to be great. It's all on you. When they fail, it's on you. When they succeed, it's on somebody else. You see that? Extreme ownership. When we succeed, it's on somebody else. But when we lose, it's on me. That's extreme ownership. And if a player can embody that early in life, good gracious, look out. Look out for that person.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be on fire for life.
So, you have kids who are 9, 10, 11, 12. They play on these tournament teams. They throw twice in a day, twice in a weekend. You had asked me this question before, and I mean it wholeheartedly. The tournament director, they should be arrested. Like, that is child abuse. It is not like, it's not a matter of, oh, will this kid get hurt? No, he's going to get hurt. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. He's going to get hurt. On the off chance, now I'm assuming, right, the kid throws reasonably hard, or else he wouldn't be pitching 2 or 3 times in a weekend. He's probably pretty good. So couple that with the fact that he's probably putting a lot of stress through the joints. Now you're going to add on all these different attempts of throwing. God knows how many pitches he's going to be throwing during that time too. This is where you will see injury occur. This is why we see it at the young ages.
As a youth coach, winning that day, yes, it can be important, but it can't be number one. Number one, prioritize the character development, prioritize the joy. If you got to win that day, then the parent in the bleachers, they're going to yell at an umpire when an umpire makes a bad call. If you've got to win that day, then you're going to overuse your pitcher that's on the mound. That's your best pitcher. They're going to burn out physically and mentally because you've got to win that day. So there's a lot of cons that outweigh the pros. So it can't be either or. Prioritize character, prioritize joy, give out game balls for good choices, and extend their baseball lives by making this so fun they want to come back tomorrow. And then the skill development, the wins.
Go to camp, because camp is a great indicator of where you lie. And I know there's people say, oh, camps are moneymakers. Absolutely, you have to, right? And
yep.
Schools aren't going to fund all these assistants. But there's never been a coach in country where he's had a camp, a guy's been really good, and he's gone, man, that guy's good. All right, next. No, that's the point of camp. I've chased guys into parking lots. I have a pitcher on campus here as a freshman. I chased his dad through the parking lot, and I'm like slamming on the trunk of his car before he can drive back to San Francisco. I'm like, hey, how are you? And Dad's looking at me like, you're out of your mind. I'm like, can you pull over for 2 minutes? Can I go take you to campus? And he's like, it's 7 o'clock at night. And I'm like, yeah, I don't care. We'll get a flashlight. I'll show you campus right now, man. That's how recruiting works. You got to go get the guys you want. And then when guys you want are around, you go after them. So I always tell guys, camp, be it.
The nation's facing a crisis, and people need to raise their hand. And I had a job, right? But it wasn't one I wanted to do. And so it's a little bit of, well, if not now, when? And I'm clearly capable of it, and if people aren't willing to raise their hand, you're eventually going to get people who are forced into doing it. And that's going to be the worst thing possible for our country, right? I love the United States. I love living here. I love everything that it offers us, from our freedoms to the ability to pursue whatever we want, love whoever you want. I don't care, right? It's the best country in the world from that perspective. I'll fight you to the death on that. And if you're not willing to defend that, I don't know why you want to
I
be
always
here.
tell my players this. I say, I want you to have big ears and a small mouth. If you have big ears and a small mouth, you are going to elevate your game like none other, because so many people want to talk first and listen second, and they miss out on being able to hear what they actually need to learn about. And so and a perfect example of this is when you are in a line of a drill at practice. If you are not learning from the person that's in front of you, or that the coach is coaching, you are missing out on an opportunity to get coached for free. And the coaches watch that. I watch that. I want to know that if the guy that's third in line in the drill that we're doing is making the same mistake as the guy that I just corrected, or is he correcting himself because he had a big ears and a small mouth and he made an adjustment. It's the guys that talk the whole time that I know are never going to get it, and they usually don't go that far.